This video is brought to you by NordVPN. Welcome back everybody to another video in my never-ending quest to look at trailers and go, let's look a little bit closer at this trailer. This time around, of course, off the back of DC Fandom. Something that we are going to be covering extensively on my podcast, The Weekly Planet. It's linked below if you do want to check it out. We're going to go through a bunch of stuff from this trailer, including the Batsuit, the Bat Signal, the Bat Car, as it is called. Characters like Selina, Alfred, Gordon, the Riddler. Well, not just really the Riddler and all his schemes, because I think this whole thing might be pointing to a bigger hidden threat. I don't know, we'll see. Some of this is going to build off two of the previous videos I've done on this. Funnily enough, from exactly this time last year, because you probably know this movie's delayed because of various world events. I think it's because of Joe Biden's America. That's what people always tell me in the comments. They're like, James, Joe Biden's ruining America. And I'm like, is he? Doesn't even look like he's ever been awake. How's that even possible? If anything, it's a broken capitalist system that's ruining America. And Australia, mind you, we're not exempt. We've gone political. Let's get out of this ditch. All right. Anyway, there's time codes below for all those things that I was talking about. If you could leave a like, that'd be terrific. Let's just bloody get stuck into it, all right? Right, a couple of things out of the gate. The setting of this. This is roughly Batman's second year on the job. So it doesn't seem we're going to be getting much of an origin and training with ninjas in the mountains or whatever. I don't know, maybe flashes of it. But we're moving forward, which is a good thing, I feel. Because there's too many Batman movies. And let's do some different stuff, you know? It's also a detective noir story, a bit of a whodunit, a bit of a what's going on. And the other thing is it's going to be set at the spookiest time of the year. And I'm not just bloody talking about tax time, let me tell you that. It's set during Halloween, which makes me think it's going to have ties to The Long Halloween, the comic. Not strictly, because that's a very specific story, but you can kind of see some crossover in the footage that we've got. A bit of a mystery, a bit of a murder, you know, all of those things. Which, to be fair, is most Batman stories, actually. Anyways, we get a closer look at the Bat Signal. This, of course, speaks to the idea that it is his second year, as they are calling upon him. We did see in the previous trailer that he's even allowed to enter a crime scene. So they're like, this guy's all right, I think. We like this guy, but maybe not, because there's other stuff in this trailer going on also. We'll talk about it. I love the imagery of this kind of sizzling bat symbol. I mean, if it was me, if I was building a bat symbol, I would get one of those bulbs that doesn't produce heat. I mean, it's less dangerous for one, and it's certainly more energy efficient. I mean, it wouldn't be as cool though, is it? So I see why they've gone with this. It's also mentioned that it's a fear-based thing. Also, you know, the criminals see this and they're like, oh no, Batman, he's going to be out tonight. I mean, he's out most nights, it seems, but yeah, I guess it's just a visual reminder of that. It does remind me of a great Joel Haver skit. If you haven't checked out his channel, he does like amazing skits and animation, and he's great. He's really funny. You should check it out. But the skit's about how a bunch of goons are shipping some stuff and Batman just never turns up. It's really good. Anyway, let's talk about these Joker boys. Now, I call them the Joker boys because they're covered in makeup. Does that make them Joker boys? Not necessarily, but maybe they've seen the movie The Joker. Maybe that movie exists in this universe. I don't know what the deal with the makeup is. Potentially these are some kind of acolytes of the Joker, which we've seen in various forms of the comics. Maybe he already dealt with a version of the Joker in year one, and this is like a remnant of that. He's just tearing through them though. He tases the hell out of this one. Look at this guy, he's not having a good time. But then I wonder whether, you know, he kind of gains their respect and trust and then begins to use them as his own army. We saw a similar thing in The Dark Knight Returns, because later with the flare you see him leading someone in the sewers. And I wonder whether it's them, maybe it's cops. You can't really tell from the top of their heads. But we also see a moment, and my God, do I love this, where Batman is just going to town with a baseball bat, which fits in perfectly to the nickname that the internet has dubbed this version of Batman, Robert Pattinson. It's Robat Bat and Bat. I love this coincidence. I'm a big fan, and it brings more life to the name. This name that everybody is getting behind, Robat Bat and Bat, hashtag Robat Bat and Bat. Speaking of Robat Bat and Bat, we get a bit more of the suit. There's a moment early on where he gets shot with a handgun and he's kind of taken aback. Maybe he upgrades his suit, or maybe that gun is of a higher caliber, because later you see him being machine gunned and he's mostly unfazed. He's like, I don't mind this at all, actually. I would mind, because your face is exposed. I mean, this is a criticism that's been leveled against Batman for decades, but I would at least put my hands up, you know what I mean? I'd be a worse Batman in every regard, except for the bit where I'd put my hand over my mouth if someone's shooting at me. Let's talk about the Riddler, though. Now, it's said that the Riddler, this version, is like a blend of things we've seen before in movies like 7N and Silence of the Lambs. Now, in the tradition of great cinematic villains being caught, intentionally I assume, Gordon's there. He's like, we got you. But the Riddler's probably like, yeah, you got me. But I was like, this is part of my riddling. This is totally a thing in movies for a while. The Dark Knight, villain gets captured. Skyfall, which we recently covered for Caravan of Garbage, villain gets captured. Star Trek Into Darkness, the villain probably gets captured in that movie. I don't remember. To me, though, a villain getting captured in a scenario like this, it points to two things. One, it's all part of a plan intended to give the GCPD, who are getting their own spin-off series, by the way, the runaround, as well as Batman. They think they've got it under control, but little do they know they have to do more clue hunting and solve explosions that are probably happening. And number two, it's all part of the plan, and there's a bigger villain. A bigger scenario at play. There's a quote in this trailer which is something like, this is about a game and the Riddler's the match, meaning he kicks off or opens up a larger scenario. Now look, he could be talking about the Penguin, who we will come back and talk about, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think the Penguin is a massive player in this movie. But I still think what he's doing here, the Riddler, is because of a larger threat in Gotham. Either a group of people or a person that he's working for, or he's trying to expose something. Now, in The Long Halloween, which took place during the spookiest time of the year, and I'm not just talking about tax time, that's a mob-based story. So the whole thing was being driven by the Falcone family. Could very well be the case here. But at the end, if they just like, guess what, it was Italians, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's not very interesting. I'm still hoping for, and look, it's a bit of a long shot, and there's been no leaks about this at all, to my knowledge, or anything in that regard. I'm still hoping for Court of Owls. It's a newer-ish kind of villain. They're all about secret society-ing. You know, all the rich and elites in Gotham, they're all a part of it, you know what I mean? Maybe the Riddler's disgruntled because he's like, I hate these guys. They didn't give me one of those owl masks. I had to tape up my own head with gaffer tape. I didn't like it. But we do also get a meeting of the minds. Riddler says, I've been trying to reach you. And Batman says, what have you done? Now, I had to rewind it like 3 times and then put on the closed captions because I couldn't understand what Batman said here. I like his Batman voice in general. I think it's good. But this line, I'm like, excuse me, what? You been hit in the head? I mean, yes, obviously, but speak clearly. Enunciate. This shows that the Riddler's still riddling, despite being captured. And then we get this moment with all these like clues and names on the floor. And I'm like, oh, this is some Riddler den shit going on here. You know, something a serial killer would do. Oh no, that's Batman in the middle. Oh, that makes sense. He's also a lunatic. But this though speaks to my theory of a bigger conspiracy. Something involving, and let's go through the clues here together. Let's look closely, me and you. Bruce Wayne's father. Now he was a doctor, part of Gotham high society, murdered, suspiciously perhaps, under suspicious circumstances. Yes, that's correct. That murder, that was suspicious. That shooting of that man and woman, very suspicious. Another name we get up here is Coulson. Now, Gil Coulson is a character who was created specifically for this movie, who is killed. We saw that in a previous trailer. We saw like his picture, I think, or something, and an explosion. Anyway, he's probably dead or going to die. He's though the district attorney and chief prosecutor, presumably the one that happens before Harvey Dent, I'd imagine. Probably corrupt, definitely dead, I would say. Another word we have here is savage. Now, it could just mean, man, these Gotham events are very savage. But it could also be, because I'm building up to a bigger, dumber theory here, Vandal Savage, who's an immortal DC comic book character. He was an early man who encountered a meteorite some 50,000 years ago. He just kept living. And he's like a criminal mastermind, you know, just through the millennia. He's warlording. He's kinging about. He's stealing organs. And another word we have here is Mitchell. This, again, is another long shot. It could be Mitchell Shelley, the Resurrection Man. Also immortal in a different way. So each time he's killed, he's reborn, but he has a different superpower every time. So I might be like, oh my God, this time I can fly. And then he dies and he comes back and he's like, oh my God, this time I've got laser eye. Just one eye. Only one of my eyes is laser. But also every time he's born, the previous power disappears. He's a good guy for the most part. Or he's one of those guys who's like, I don't like doing good. I don't like doing good. I'm not a hero. But he like exclusively does heroic things. Anyways, I guess what I'm saying is if this conspiracy involved 2 immortal-ish men, of sorts. Does that mean that this is a world unlike that of The Dark Knight and more in line with the comics where there are supernatural elements at play? Because we don't know at this point what kind of universe this is yet. Are we going to get like the Killer Croc who's just a guy with a skin disease, or the 9-foot-tall like Arkham Asylum Killer Croc who's a mutant or something? But the other thing we've got here is renewal is a lie. Now my first instinct is to go like, okay, so it's like a church or like a secret society, or maybe it's a metaphor or whatever, you know. But if you put these things together, if you've got Bruce Wayne's father, who's a doctor, if you've got Randall Savage, who's immortal, if you've got Mitch Shelley, who's immortal? Is this whole thing tied to a drug or a drug company? Something that does promise immortality or an extended lifespan. Is that what is going on here? I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. Do you know? Don't tell me if you know. I kind of want to go in blind. I'd love to know your thoughts on that theory though. Is that anything? Probably not, but anyway, let's keep moving. How's your online activity? Protected much? I'd bloody well hope so, and if not, that's where NordVPN comes in. NordVPN is designed specifically to protect your online activity. If you're watching this, which you are, then like me, you probably live a lot of your life online. And sometimes you have to give over personal information, say like banking details, or a mailing address, or phone numbers, or you want to secretly order high-protein, low-carb Ukrainian cereal off the dark web. And all this can be done safely and with the click of a button. I'm talking secure internet with NordVPN, because all of your data stays safe behind a wall of next-generation encryption. It also blocks malware and ads, because by turning on CyberSec, you avoid malware hosting websites, annoying ads, and botnet control. It also masks your IP, keeping your browsing to yourself. Don't let others track what you do online. Don't let them know what cereal you order online. That should be a secret. I think it's important that people start taking their internet safety seriously. We're in an ever-changing political environment. Net neutrality litigation and the dangers of open networks. All of these things affect everybody who uses the internet. So I encourage you, take control of your internet experience today with NordVPN. Right now, you can get a 2-year plan at a huge discount, plus 4 additional months for free when you go to nordvpn.com/MrSundayMovies. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/MrSundayMovies, or click the link in the description below. Hey, we get a better look at Selina Kyle. They're working together. She's the dual heist version. There's a moment where she jumps off a building and you see in the background, Batman's in a bit of strife. He looks like he's wrestling with Gordon maybe. And as I mentioned before, you also see the cops going after Batman at one point. They corner him on a rooftop and they're like, "You can't fly or glide, we've got you." And he's like, I can glide actually, I'm out of here. So maybe he's framed for a big crime. He's often framed for a big crime, you know? You also see Alfred, Andy Serkis. I love the idea of Andy Serkis in this role. Alfred's getting younger and younger, which quite frankly, good for Alfred because, I mean, you're putting someone in at this point like the age of Michael Caine, who I loved, by the way, incredible man. That's very taxing on a human being. Andy Serkis closer to 50 makes more sense. He's like, "I'm worried you're burning out, Bruce Wayne. I don't like all these things that you're doing and how you're making me help you and stuff." And Bruce Wayne's like, "I don't care what happens to me," which I think will evolve over this movie and the next movies. Because I think, you know, Batman realizes that, I know people need to see like the Bruce Wayne side of me because otherwise people are going to know I'm Batman. But I don't want them to think that. I want them to think I'm a big, silly, billionaire idiot man. And the Penguin, of course. Colin Farrell. He's got prosthetics up to the nines. I love the voice as well. Really good. Like, if I honestly didn't know this is Colin Farrell, this looks nothing like Colin Farrell. Incredible work. Prosthetics, you know, it's a hard thing to pull off. And this prosthetic, just incredible. I mean, unless, of course, it's not Colin Farrell and it's a man who just looks like this. In which case, sorry I said that your face isn't real. Anyways, he's involved in all of this. I think he's a minor player, like someone that Batman just goes for information. He's like, "Give me the information." He's like, "I don't want to give you the information." And there's a car chase, and he thinks he kills Batman in the car chase, but he doesn't kill Batman in the car chase. I love this car. I'm not a cars guy, but it's fucking shit hot. Am I right? And the final shot of this, I love it. It's so great. I mean, there's so much incredible imagery in this. But what a way to end the trailer. I hope it's not how the movie ends. What a strange ending it would be if it did end like this. And here's something for you. Here's something for free. Maybe you're studying film and you're like, what does this mean, this scene, this imagery? I know it's something, but what? Well, it's upside down and he's a bat. That's what's going on here. So there you go. Put that in an essay or something. I just got you an A, I think. Anyways, let's talk about the release of this because it's coming March 4th of 2022. Yes, it was delayed. It was supposed to be out by now already. But look, hey, that's whatever. March, it's not that long away. Now, we know that it's nearly 3 hours long. We know that it's already being tested with audiences. You know, an incomplete version that's missing bits and pieces and special effects and whatnot. And apparently everybody loved it. Everyone was like, "This is a good movie. I'm a big fan." And I hope that I'm a big fan also. Honestly, I wasn't really that excited for a new Batman movie. We get a lot of Batman all the time. But you know, it's like that in the comics. Pretty much, there's always at least one, probably more, decent Batman comic running at any one time. So sure, let's do lots of Batman stuff. Why not, I guess. Now, if you do have any thoughts on this trailer, theories, ideas, maybe you saw some imagery and you've gone, Oh, James, I picked up on some imagery here. I might do one of those Q&A things where I come back and go through questions and responses and things like that. But if you are interested in the goings-on of DC Fandom, my podcast, The Weekly Planet, that I do with my good friend Nick Mason, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. This latest episode, it's all DC Fandom. It's going to go up early at bigsandwich.co. If it's not out in the main feed as of yet, up there's also movie commentaries and bonus podcasts and early videos. We're doing the Amazing Spider-Man movies at the moment. Incredible comic book movies, I think we can all agree. It's like our own private Patreon service, essentially. Anyways, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you subscribed. There's more videos on the way related to DC Fandom. And have a great day, everybody. Or night. Have a great time. There we go. I figured it out. Thanks for watching.